Hey guys. So I was going over to my colonies in the Americas and then some boats accidentally went somewhere else and we totally discovered completely brand new land with nobody living there. It's a whole lot of free land.
Wait, stop right there. Did you say there's free land? As in we can go colonize it?
Yeah. What are you trying to say? Oh, I get it, that means we can go get some free land.
Yay!
Go. All African nations. I was spying on the Europeans and I found out they are planning to come invade and kill us all. But do not worry, I will not let them come and invade us all. We will save our lands and keep away dirty Europeans. They never will touch African soil or people. We can do this. Let's go. Teehee, I did a skibidi fart and kinda lied. I let them colonize, but hey, we got some free land. Let's check on the others. Those dirty colonizers.
In the 1890s, 1900s, the colonizers divided up Africa and completely destroyed most nations here. This event was called the Amsterdam Conference, where several colonizers met to discuss the future borders. This resulted in many future wars and completely ruining the continent as a whole. But you may be wondering, how was the African continent divided in better detail? Who were the countries that were at the Amsterdam Conference? Well, good for you, because this video is all about that. Anyways, let me stop yapping and let's start this video. Hope you enjoy. Starting with Rome, or the Purple Team, they had wanted the entire previous country of Libya, and they had wanted to expand deeper into Africa, including parts of the African Union and Egypt. After making it known that they were going for the route of colonialism, they decided to put more claims deeper into modern-day Chad, the African Union, and even Egypt. This was quickly shut down as the colonizers decided to respect the identity of the African Union, and France had claims over Egypt as well. Here we can see what the Purple Team actually got. The Italian Union had also wanted land in Libya, and the other colonizers agreed to give them some, outnumbering the Purple Team. They got about half of what they wanted, which isn't too bad for a nation who was on the decline. Although the Purple Team was declining, they had a massive lost empire with a lot of influence, so they thought they'd be respected more. Moving north of the Purple Team is the Italian Union. They recently were created about 10 to 20-ish years ago, and they had no colonies before. This would be a tough challenge as they know nothing about keeping colonies, but the other European powers supported them in order to weaken the Purple Team. As we see here, the Italian Union wanted about a third of what the Purple Team originally wanted. This was seen as great leadership by the people as the Italians recently formed. This later went on to expand into Libya, which took almost all of what the Purple Team wanted. It was supported by the other powers, but the Italians almost went to war over it, as they both kept bugging for it. As we can see here, the Italians got a surprisingly good amount of land for not knowing how to colonize, and this angered the Purple Team even more. They realistically should have gotten more, as they are a very influential country. However, we can see how this failed, as the main goal of the Italian Union was to throw off the Purple Team in terms of power. I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Purple Team had lost their colony only 5 years later, as they were on the losing side of World War I. Their colony was then given to the Italian Union. However, they would return to Africa again in World War II to fight, but wouldn't get back their old colonies. Next country on our list seems to be the Dark Cyan Team. They are probably the most important country here, as they initially started the Amsterdam Conference, and they were the ones to spark up the others. They had experience with colonization, as they had colonies in the Americas, so we can expect a lot from them. As we see here, they lay claim to all of North Africa, and they believe they could pull this off, as they are one of the stronger countries here. This honestly was probably pretty likely to actually happen, as nobody else had actually put claims over these areas. As mentioned earlier, they already had about a fifth of their claims as they got here early, and were the ones to land here first before the Amsterdam Conference. When arrived at the meeting, the colonizers decided to respect the sovereignty of the African Union and quickly drew up their borders. So the others got rid of their claims over it, including the Dark Cyan Team. Both of the Italian countries were the first to draw their claims, and they were accepted by the others, including the Dark Cyan Team, also getting rid of even more land for them, which did create a bit of tension, but it was quickly resolved as the Italian Union supported the Dark Cyan Team with their other claims. The French borders would roll in, and the Dark Cyan team would have to give up their claims and hopes of having a colony stretching from the African Union to Eritrea. They would then try to go under their old Egyptian claims and would lay claim to Kenya as it has many natural resources and would connect Eritrea to the main colony. Not too long after this, Catalonia would draw up what they wanted, and the Dark Cyan team would let go of Ethiopia and Eritrea, and because of this they would yet again put claim over South Sudan, even though the French already claimed it. Of course, this would fail, and they would also lose their Kenyan and Somalian claims, but would get about half of their plan for North Africa. Although mostly happy with what they got, they decided to look down into the Congo, but this was sorted out not in their favor as they worked it out with Ireland and gave it to them. Moving into the Dutch Empire, they were very quick to draw up their claims as they were the second strongest country and they wanted to gain more power. Just like the Dark Cyan team, they had wanted a colony that stretches from the west to the east in South Africa. They would later do some exploring down near their claims and would discover the resource-rich Congo, which would result in them laying claim to it, just like many others. This had almost resulted in a four-way war between Ireland, Dutch Empire, Dark Cyan team, and the African Union, as everyone claimed the Congo. In the first half of the Amsterdam Conference, they would get about half of their claims and would then try to get control of Madagascar, which at the time didn't seem to possible as Paris, India already had land in it. About 10 days after they made their claims official, they would let go of the Congo as the other powers decided it would be best to give it to Ireland as they were a weaker nation, and they would get their original colony, but would still fight for South Africa and Madagascar, which eventually they did get Madagascar, but they respected the sovereignty of South Africa. Going south of the Dutch Empire was the French, who wanted Egypt and Sudan. They actually weren't too focused on obtaining a colony, but they wanted Egypt because of the Suez Canal, which meant a lot of money. But when realizing nobody else had claims over Egypt, they would then expand farther into the African continent. Nobody really cared about the French and their claims though, which is kind of sad. But it did help them get away with things like claiming South Sudan and northern Libya. This was good for the French as they mostly got what they wanted except for the main prize, the Suez Canal. It was taken by Jordan when they invaded it and almost started a war between the two. This was stopped when the other Mesopotamian countries backed Jordan. South of France, aka Catalonia, was a smaller country with no experience of colonialism before. Due to their placement in the Mediterranean, they couldn't escape to the Americas and were forced to stay in Spain. Because of this, they only claimed a smaller colony in Eritrea. Even though they claimed a small amount of land, it wasn't actually respected by the other colonizers as they thought Catalonia wouldn't be able to hold on to it. However, no country at the conference really wanted Catalonia's claims, and so Catalonia got Eritrea. Wait, did I say Catalonia got it? No. When they were signing the treaty to hand it over to Catalonia, the monarch of Catalonia stopped them and said, "Wait, that's not right. I want Catalonia to be my personal property." This went for a matter of 3 days until the monarch mysteriously died. Eritrea was then handed over to the Catalan government. Next in our list is the strongest country in the world at the time, Paris, India. We know they had already been on the continent before and had land in Tanzania. They broke away as they simply couldn't hold on to them. So Paris, India only had 2 very small colonies in Africa left, Socotra and the tip of Madagascar, As Paris, India was the strongest country in the world, they expected to gain a lot of lands from the Amsterdam Conference. The only problem was, the European nations weren't too happy about having to work with them. But they were smart. So they put claims over the Horn of Africa, Madagascar, and Mozambique. But Paris, India had a trick up their sleeve. They always had a trick up their sleeve. So with nobody claiming what they wanted yet, and the other Europeans not too willing of working with them, they decided, well, we are obviously going to get something from this, but just to make it even more clear, they will claim the entire African Indian Ocean lands. So smart, right? They obviously got to get something now. Yeah, they got nothing. Next country in our list is Ireland. Previous of the Amsterdam Conference, they already had colonies in Greenland and around the Hudson Bay. They were funding their colonies a lot and looking for more places to settle as they couldn't expand in their mainland. Also, something to note is Ireland is the colonizer that seems to have taken the best care of their colonies and gave them the most freedom than any other colonizer. As we can see, they had originally wanted the southwest coast of Africa, and that's it. But unfortunately for them, in order to get these colonies, they had to go against the two big powers being the Dutch Empire and the Dark Cyan team. They were peaceful about it though, and were able to gain about a third of their colony, which is very good for the small power. As we've seen recently, the European countries had all wanted the Congo due to its resource-rich land. Nobody was willing to give up the Congo, and it was then they decided, if we can't decide on the Congo, why not just give it to a weaker nation like Ireland? So Ireland was able to twist the hands of the other powers and gain the Congo, which helped them out a lot. The Irish were very lucky in the Amsterdam Conference as they didn't really do any exploration or anything in the African continent beforehand, but still got tripled the amount of land they originally claimed. Following this, we could also see them gaining Kenya as nobody else claimed it and supported Ireland getting a lot of land because they were so neutral. A nation on the rise was Iberia, and they were part of the Amsterdam Conference. As a smaller nation in Iberia, they weren't expected to be given much from the Amsterdam Conference, but they were still very interested in gaining colonies. Iberia had one goal in mind, which was to try and get whatever they can. This was respected by the other colonizers, and so they all decided to ask if they would have liked Somalia. Luckily, the Iberians said yes, and Somalia became a part of Iberia. Also, something to note is when Iberia invaded Somalia, they couldn't wipe the full thing off the map, so they had to wait a few years, but eventually they fully annexed it. Probably the most interesting country on our list, the African Union, also the only African country that was invited to the Amsterdam Conference. As we know, they already had lands in Morocco and North Algeria, but here's where it gets super interesting. The African Union and the other African nations obviously didn't want the Europeans to colonize them, so the African Union thought, how about we all just unite? We will be stronger than them if we do, and we can rule the continent. But obviously this wasn't going to happen as not all of them got along, and they were all different. But after this, the first question was asked, do we respect the sovereignty of the African Union? And they had all said yes. The African Union had wanted to try and save the continent from European control, and they tried to get as much land as possible from the Amsterdam Conference. They had put claims over most of North Africa, as if they ever went to war, they could block the colonizers from getting to their colonies. Obviously, the European powers didn't want the African Union to get this much land and settled to give them about a fifth of their claims. This was a great achievement by the African Union, but also great devastation as most of the continent is now in the hands of the Europeans. Finally, the last country that attended the Amsterdam Conference was Korea? What the? They aren't even. You know what, it's okay, let's still go over them. Ladies, close your eyes, you're about to see some real muscle. Wait, what the? Korea did you just claim over all of Africa? You're so stupid. Well, I mean, at least you got it right? Right? Haha, Korea, you got it right. You're making me look pretty dumb. Hi guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to make one, but I just needed a break. I am back though, and ready to make more videos. Subscribe.